Today, we're going to conduct a forensic breakdown of one of the most psychologically damaging scams out there, urgent home repair fraud. This isn't just about a bad repair job. It's a calculated system designed to turn your deepest instincts against you. It really proves that all a criminal needs to get into your bank account is a clipboard and a claim of imminent danger. Let's get into it.
And that right there, that's the core of it. The real weakness isn't a crock in your chimney or a problem with your foundation. It's in your mind. This whole scam is built on creating a psychological crisis, a state we're going to call structural panic, where just a few carefully chosen words can completely bypass every logical defense you have.
So here's how we're going to deconstruct this system. First, we'll look at the keys to your castle, your psychological vulnerabilities. Then we'll dissect the anatomy of the scam itself. We'll explore the psychology of panic, why it's so darn effective, and then we'll build your defense. And finally, we'll leave you with the protective mantra.
Okay, so before we can even analyze the crime, we have to understand the crime scene. And in this case, the crime scene is the human mind and its deep primal connection to the idea of shelter. See, these scammers, they don't just see a house, they see what it represents. Safety, family, probably your biggest investment. They see a fortress, and they have engineered the perfect psychological keys to get right inside.
Now, I want you to focus on that word, manufactured. Structural panic isn't some natural state of being. It's deliberately engineered. The scammer's entire goal is to short-circuit the analytical part of your brain, the part that asks questions and looks for evidence, by firing up your emotional protective brain. They're creating what's called a high arousal fear state, where your only impulse is to fix this threat right now, no matter the cost.
So how do they do it? Well, you'd be surprised how simple it is. It starts with basic props: a hard hat, a clean vest, a clipboard. These are not just accessories, they are tools of psychological entry. They trigger something called authority bias. Our brains are basically wired to trust people who look like experts, especially when we're feeling ignorant or scared. That clipboard, that hard hat, they're the skeleton keys that unlock your front door and your trust before the real con has even started.
All right, let's pop the hood on the scam's operational playbook. This is not random, it's a machine. It's a predictable, repeatable system designed for one thing: to arouse a sense of hazard and get your money immediately. Once you see how the machine works, you can jam the gears. The whole thing unfolds in 6 clear stages. It starts with targeting. Scammers look for homes that look like they might have some deferred maintenance, a sign the owner might be a bit overwhelmed. Then comes the pretext, the discovery, the pressure, the extraction, and finally, the vanishing act. Let's walk through the most critical parts right now.
Step 2, the pretext. Now listen, this is the crucial moment. A scammer doesn't just knock on your door and say, "Hey, your chimney is broken." They use social proof. They'll say something like, "Hi, we were just working on your neighbor's roof and noticed something concerning on yours." That one sentence completely bypasses your stranger danger reflex. It makes them seem not like a salesman, but like a helpful neighbor, borrowing credibility from the people who live next door.
And once they've got your attention, they launch into what I call visual theater. This is where the crisis is literally manufactured right in front of you. They might pull out a piece of pre-burnt wood they brought with them and claim it came from your attic. They'll use terrifying but super vague jargon like carbon monoxide backdrafting, words you don't understand but sound way too dangerous to ignore. They might even show you stock photos of rotting wood on a tablet and claim it's a live feed from inside your walls. It's a brilliant, devious performance.
And all of that theater, all of it, leads to this moment right here, the catastrophic discovery. The moment they tell you your house is a firebomb or on the verge of structural collapse. This is the psychological choke point. It's designed to trigger extreme fear, the fear of losing everything. And that fear is so overwhelming that analytical thought becomes almost impossible. Your brain just flips a switch from, "Wait, is this true?" to, "Oh my gosh, how do I fix this now?" And with your brain locked in panic mode, they start applying the pressure. They'll use the red tag threat, warning you that the city is going to condemn your house if you don't act now. Then comes the classic leftover materials ruse. "Hey, we just finished a job nearby, we've got extra materials, so we can give you a massive discount, but only if you decide today." This sets a false price and creates a totally fake sense of urgency. They might even have a truck with an emergency crew waiting right outside just to wear you down. It all pushes you to one single conclusion: you have to act now. After building all that pressure, all that fear, here's where the manipulation flips from creating a crisis to extracting cash. The demand comes: we're going to need a cash-only deposit of $2,500 to go get the supplies. This immediate, untraceable demand, that's the reddest of red flags. Once they have that cash, they'll do some bogus surface fix, slap some tar on a vent, and then execute their final step, the vanishing act. So we've seen how the scam works, but the real question is, why is it so effective? Why do smart, rational people fall for it? Well, the answer lies in this potent cocktail of psychological principles that these scammers are so good at exploiting. They are, in effect, hacking the human brain's threat response system.
This slide just lays it out so clearly. You've got these two parallel realities happening at the same time. The victim is thinking, my family is in danger. This expert showed up to help me. This discount is a lucky break. They believe paying that deposit is a heroic act to save their home. But the scammer's reality? It's a cold, calculated script. They see a target in a high arousal state, authority bias is kicking in, the price anchor is set, and now it's time to execute the extraction. The victim is running on emotion, the scammer is just executing a plan.
And this is what is so incredibly insidious about this whole thing. The scam hijacks your noblest intentions, your sense of duty, your instinct to protect your family. That's the very thing they turn into a weapon against you. The more you care about your home, the more responsible you feel, the more vulnerable you actually become to this manipulation. You end up in a submissive compliance loop, not because they forced you, but because they twisted your own good character.
All right, we have deconstructed the threat. Now let's build the defense. And the good news is, because this is such a predictable system, it can be defeated with a simple strategic protocol. This is all about shifting from a state of panic to a state of process and taking back control of the situation.
The very first step is to ask yourself one simple but incredibly powerful question. Is this urgency mine or is it theirs? Think about it. Did you wake up this morning worried about your chimney, or did that worry only show up when this person knocked on your door? If an expert finds a problem without you ever asking them to look for it, the problem is almost always the expert. That question is your circuit breaker.
So here it is, your 4-step non-confrontational defense plan. First, the inspector rule. You just calmly say, my personal policy is to have any safety issues verified by the city inspector. This brings in a higher authority that scammers can't argue with. A real pro will welcome it. Second, always get a second opinion. A real problem will still be there in an hour when another company shows up. Third, do a municipal audit. Ask for their business address and license number, then go verify it yourself. Scammers usually don't have legitimate credentials. And finally, and this is critical, the no dismantle rule. Never let an unsolicited contractor take anything apart on your property. That's how they create a real problem out of a fake one, forcing you to pay them to fix what they just broke.
We've taken apart the system. We've built the defense. Now, let's distill all of this down into one core principle, one final thought you can use when you're under pressure.
This is the single most important takeaway. A true emergency, a fire, a flood, it's obvious. A legitimate professional who finds a serious issue will encourage you to get a second opinion because their findings are based on fact. They want you to be confident. It's the false emergency, the manufactured crisis that cannot stand up to scrutiny. It relies completely on pressure to stop you from thinking, from calling someone else, from just verifying the claim. Remember that. Urgency is the predator's pulse.
So this is your shield. Memorize this phrase. When you're ever in a high-pressure situation like this, repeat it to yourself and then say it to them. I verify the danger with a second professional. No permit, no payment, no pressure. This simple sentence puts control right back in your hands. It tells them that you operate on verification, not on fear. It is your final word, and it is the end of their scam.